Hey, everybody. So I want to introduce you to one of our Fractional Freedom students. Her name is Ana Micka. Ana, so nice to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here with you on your podcast. I love your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love what you've done with your business. So I'm super excited to start with that. And let's share with everyone who's listening just a little bit about your business background, because you did both done for you services in terms of agency services as well as consulting before coming into the consulting incubator. So what was that journey like?
Yeah, so in terms of my online business, so I spent 20 years before doing an online business, working in nonprofit organizational development and political campaigns and fundraisings, which are very much like online funnels. It's just kind of indirect mail, even all of those pieces.
Oh,
So I brought
cool.
that with me to online marketing, which was fun.
Yeah.
And I was a Facebook ads consultant, and I still do some Facebook ads for just a few long-term clients. But that's really where I built my agency since 2014, which in the Facebook ads world is a long time to be running. It's like the OG
Right. Right.
in the ad space for Facebook ads. So, and I ended up really specializing and having a lovely group of
Yeah.
clients who are mostly life coaches or business coaches for life coaches. So I really got to know that audience, those funnels, those types of clients, and had an interesting towards the last couple of years of my agency. I actually merged my agency with one of my clients. So I also have the experience of running an agency, but also a $2.5 million life coaching business. I merged and became her COO. So I just have an interesting mix of experience that
Yes.
is from an ads perspective, but also from an inside perspective, all the moving pieces, and also deeply understand the kind of chaos that happens when you are running all these different moving pieces. And so that's a big reason why I love um, this step I've taken into really focusing on consulting.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I didn't realize you had such a robust business background, but I'm not surprised because I think who are the best consultants have a variety of different backgrounds that they can tap into in order to be able to provide advice really based on experience. So that's fascinating that you were in like campaign and nonprofit. I'm not shocked at all. Knowing you and the sophistication level of your business acumen. And so when you were doing all of these different, like actually what was the moment in which you started to step into online from offline? That's an interesting transition.
A lot of us, I moved an hour away from downtown Minneapolis to our farm. And at the time, I had a fifth grade daughter. And I just needed to not be commuting an hour each way every day. My husband did that up until 2 years ago. And it's hard to have your kids out an hour away from you and be commuting that far for me. So I was really looking for something where I could apply my skills in a different way, have flexibility, be there for my daughter. She was a big horse person, so that a lot of time in the barn, needing to be able to go to my
Yeah.
truck and like work from my phone and get things done. So that was a big part of the reason. I realized I loved Facebook ads, at least for a long time, because I actually did a lot of direct mail and a
Yeah.
lot of telemarketing and a lot of, I started out door to door canvassing for Greenpeace when I was 16. And
Oh
so all
my
of
gosh.
I know.
That's
Something
fascinating.
it was really fun and really interesting. But it's a numbers game, right? So it's a kind of funnel. It's a kind of you go, you meet, you bring people in your front door, you get to know them, you nurture them and warm them up, you invite them to take a next step. And so Facebook ads were like all of those much more direct one-to-one kinds of engagements on steroids. And I just loved the data and the speed at which you could see what's happening. So
That's awesome. That is such a good analogy that I think probably not a lot of people think about is the labor that goes into direct response marketing prior to Facebook ads, like the volume at which you needed to be physically active, right? Whether it's like direct mail and the volume of those pieces or the volume of interactions that can be not totally replaced with digital interactions, but it's a similar game, just a different platform.
It's a similar game, a different platform. And whenever I get frustrated or my clients get frustrated with Facebook or Instagram, like, you know what? This leveled the playing field and allowed you to have this kind of business because I ran direct mail for a lot of clients. And to run direct mail, you're looking at 100K investment before you've
Mhm.
made one penny back, before you even know it's going to work because you've printed everything and rented lists and paid for postage and paid for stuffing envelope. I mean, so Facebook at least, yeah, I mean, every platform has some challenges, but it really did allow a lot of people, like all these life coaches I worked for, and I've helped build their business, actually
Mhm.
have a way to reach people in a one-to-many kind of, in a one-to-many kind of way.
That's so cool. I want to dig into your consulting, but before we do that, what is it that you love about working with life coaches?
Well, I've always said there's no one better to go through a pandemic with than a life coach as your client. Whenever any of us have, um, over the cliff kinds of thoughts, we can be like, well, that's a thought. We can examine that thought.
Right.
Um, so I just love that they are people who are exploring, they're very much into their own personal development. They're optimistic and hopeful about human nature and where we can go as people. And they're very focused on relationships. And that to me, relationships are, it's funny that I'm an online marketer, but relationships are really central to me
Mhm.
around how things get done and how things happen.
Yeah, I think we share that. We share that value. We have that in common, where even though we love digital marketing, it always comes back to the human interaction that takes place behind each click and the
Yeah.
integrity and the honoring of the other person and helping them feel seen and heard and valued. So,
Yeah, that's always been a huge thing is that like these are not, even though I'll talk about a funnel and those kinds of that kind of terminology, each person is not just a number.
yeah.
I don't just care about the 1% who do something that I want. I really care about the whole 100% and what their experience is.
Yeah, you have such the exact type of personality and background of people who are really successful with consulting because it is that combination of a really nice, intuitive, soul-led like worldview combined with the intellectual aspect and the business acumen that I think comes together and makes a really good advisor to business owners. Um, and I didn't really know that until I started hanging out with other consultants.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point, and I do think that that is something that I definitely learned working in politics and campaigns because I worked all my clients were women. They were women running for federal office back. I'm
Mm,
dating myself back right now, but like in the 1990s, before I was pregnant. And that was a tough time for women. And so a lot of my work as their primary staff, I was the finance director and fundraiser. I was the first person on, last person off any campaign, and the
mm,
closest to the candidate. But it's tough. Like talk about this is before you could do online fundraising for campaigns. We dialed for dollars. And
mm,
so literally just 6 hours a day of calling cold calls. So a lot of it was like numbers like, oh, if you just make 10 more calls, you're going to make, another $1,000. But there's a lot of mindset and a lot of coaching, a lot of nurturing, and a lot of helping people kind of take the next step and see that how it all adds up. So
mm.
I do think I learned it's like not just here's your numbers. If you make the numbers work, everything is good. It's like it's the numbers, it's the analytics, but it's really the human side of what those numbers mean in terms of impact, in terms of how they help you make it to the next step, the next level.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think about it the same way. And I think that's such a refreshing and helpful perspective for us to bring our clients. So, when you started to lean into consulting more, what are some of those steps that you've made? And then we'll talk a little bit more about what it was like when you joined the program.
Yeah, so I really started consulting more, I would say a year and a half ago with a couple of clients who were ads clients. And that's always been something that when you're an ads agency, you're expected to get results, right? People
Yeah.
expect ads to be like an ATM and you put money in and you get money out somehow magically. And we all know that especially now. I mean, that actually was a bit more the case in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
But now it's like what happens every single step along the way once someone becomes a lead is actually where you get your return on ad spend, is
Right.
in the follow-up, is in that nurturing, is in your messaging, is in how thoughtful you are about optimizing that experience. And so I just needed to be more and more connected inside people's business to help them get the results on the ad side. So I
Yeah.
started kind of expanding my scope, which is I don't recommend. I recommend I
Just
recommend
throw
doing it
in
much more
strategy.
cleanly. Yeah, just take all the strategy. So I learned to be a bit cleaner about like, this is the ad side, but this is the strategy side. And if you want this, I have consulting and can really help you look at this holistically with traffic as a component, but not the only thing that you need to think about in your business.
Yeah. And it's funny when I teach consulting, I actually say that's the last thing, right? Is to look at that
Right.
last,
Yes.
because you certainly don't want to solve a traffic issue prior to solving follow-up issues or sales issues or messaging issues, because the traffic issue will just end up feeling like a waste of money. And this is where people get frustrated with traffic, investing in traffic when it's a great investment, but when you have the right foundation, right? So when you joined Fractional Freedom last spring, what were some of the reasons why you decided to come into that program?
Well, I loved, so as I mentioned before, when I was like, watching people's businesses and also running a multi-million dollar coaching business, like the amount of advice that is coming your way, coming the way of these owners, these business owners, is really quite head spinning and overwhelming. And so the approach in Fractional Freedom, where it's let's focus on a few things and do them well, less is more, calm, like very thoughtful, like really helping these business owners take a deep breath, know that there's a path through to the other side, and doesn't mean that they have to spend money on this thing or on that thing or redo a whole new funnel or redo their business or add new team or whatever. There's just a simpler way to look at what's working and do more of what's working well inside their business. So I just really liked that focus and know from my existing clients and the work I've done that that is what they need. It's a breath of fresh air for them.
Yeah.
So that's a huge piece of it. And just it was a smart approach, and having the community, having, because you can look at someone's business, and I do have a lot of experience, but it also helps to have a brain trust, other people, your experience and the other folks in the community. Like, oh, have you thought about this? Or I would recommend you think about this. And so I really love having that, the resources, the tools, the community to help hone in on what the next best step is for that client.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of the things you've experienced in the program? Like, so what are some of the big wins that you've had in your business?
So in terms of the big wins, I've already, I think within like the first month or 5 weeks, I'd converted an ads client to completely. I stopped doing her ads and actually moved her just to consulting, and for more money than I was charging for ads. So like that was a huge win. And I was just on a phone call with her. One of our tasks with her is to get her a salesperson, is to get her out of doing sales calls, because that's so hard for business owners to do that many calls and everything else. And so I lined her up with a great sales consultant. And it's so fun to, hear clients talk about you on the phone to someone else. And she was like, I just do what Anna says. And it worked. I know. So that was so fun. I was like, okay, good. This is working. And I signed up 2 more clients, folks that I've known in the past who are not currently doing ads with me, who are just brand new clients into my space, to really kind of really helping one of them. She's growing, interesting business model, but helping her really line up for some really big, get everything in place. So she's got some big opportunities coming up first of the year. And so looking forward so that she's got a foundation.
That's so
Yeah. So definitely like I way more than paid for the program within like the first month. And I also just love doing the work so much with these kinds of clients. Like it's very freeing to not just be in reporting and ads management and the numbers, but actually be in the bigger picture, helping craft that path.
Yeah, it's very rewarding work. And
Yeah.
I think you're seeing it too. And I've always seen this, that being able to come in as that client's thought partner is a very
Yes.
unique role. And it's a very rewarding role, especially when you're working with people like the people you're working with who are changing the lives of others. And the more that you can help them, the more that they can help more people get out of pain, which is in particularly one of the big ways in which life coaches tend to help people.
Yeah, definitely. I love being their thought partner. And I really appreciate that you helped me be okay with like, I can let go of the done for you service and still offer this consulting service. And I'm enjoying that a lot to really, because it's a different conversation when you're not also, and here's your ads report, by the way, when you're trying to combine both of those scopes, it's kind of muddy. So I really am taking your advice and liking your advice of shift, find them a new ads person and shift to really being their consulting if they are a current client and find new clients, which is fun.
Yes, which I know you will. I can see it. I can see that transition happening for you, and it's so exciting to watch. Is there anything, if somebody was thinking about joining Fractional Freedom, had a business background, variety of different ways in which they've worked on strategy, both done for you, some consulting, some advisory, what would you say to them if they're thinking about joining the program?
I've actually talked to a few folks about joining the program because I really am an advocate for it. And I think for the right person, it's a great program. And so one of the women I've talked to, she keeps saying, well, I'm not myself $1 million business yet. How could I consult with clients who are $1 million businesses? And I keep saying to her, like, you're getting results. Your business coaching is getting folks from 0 to 100K. If you can do that, you that's the heavy lift, a lot of it right there. Like you don't have to be running your own multi-million dollar business to help seven-figure owners make their business more successful. So I think that's a thing that it's a little mental hurdle to kind of overcome in your own confidence level that you can do that. So that's the thing I say to folks is you can do this from where you are. If you're business coaching, you can definitely do this, especially with the support that you offer and the community and team and templates and tools. So I think that's a key thing. Other thing is it's a fairly easy, what's the word? How to say it? Like it's not hard to market, right? It's typically done for you services are easier to market than consulting because it's such a concrete thing. But I think that the way that you talk about and teach how to become a consultant, how to pitch your consulting is very tangible because it is looking at how can we get them a return that is more than what they're investing in us very clearly in a defined way that is focused on their biggest goal, takes away all of the noise and distraction and gets them to that next step, which is usually them making quite a bit more than what they're paying you. So it's an easy pitch. It's an easy yes for someone you're talking to.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because I think that's probably two common objections of people getting into consulting. The first is your friends, which is it's great that she brought that up because it means she cares and she means that she doesn't want to oversell herself or provide a promise that she can't deliver on, which I think is very admirable. And don't we
Mhm.
all wish there was more of that in the online space, right? And
Right.
so that's awesome. And my answer is, I'm a big tennis player, as many of you who are listening probably know. And does, Rafa Nadal, is his coach better than him? No, nobody's better than Rafa. Nobody.
Right.
But is he a better coach than Rafa? Yes. You know, and
Yes.
we don't need to be the star influencer. We don't need to be the star player. What we need to be able to do is bring a perspective on a particular area of expertise, not the whole business. We're not consulting on HR. We're not consulting on what they should do with their retirement plan. We're consulting on one particular area of the business, which is growth, and with an expertise and a specialty that gives them that outside perspective. And I think it's common and understandable and actually really cool, if people have a concern around that, because I think it shows a high level of integrity.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. In a couple of years, where do you see your business? Where do you see yourself from now?
I really, really love this offer. I really see it growing. And I like this offer because it takes away my own. So I've never ever really wanted to be my own seven-figure run an empire kind of person. I really love the idea that I could have a business consulting, maybe a group program on top of that, have a super comfortable living. And, I run a farm. I
Yeah.
have sheep. I'm opening a little sheep store in my little town to sell
Oh, cool.
wool. And, so I really want to have be very active in my community and have another life besides working all of the time. And I've done 10 years of working all the time. So I
Yes,
love that this consulting approach also is letting me have, a bit more of my other life back again.
I love that. Well, when you've got your sheep wool funnel together, let me know and I'll opt into
Okay.
it.
Well, it's super fun.
See what I can get from my home.
Yes.
Um, and if somebody wants to get in touch with you, if they're a life coach and they're like, wow, Anna seems like it would be a great fit to have her look at my business, or they just have general questions, what's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I have an agency that's really focused on consulting now, and it's called Round Robin Marketing Collective.
Mm.
So just go to roundrobinmarketing.com, and that's my website. And you can find me there, and there's a quick place to get in touch and just submit a quick form, and I'll be in touch. And we can, I offer some, free consultation on the phone if you want to talk through, learn more what this is like, share what your big goals for your business are, and then we can go from there.
It's fantastic. And we have a philosophy in our whole collective that we only will pitch to somebody that we know we can help. So if you're not
Mhm.
sure, you can just get in touch and she'll let you know whether or not she can help you. So thank you so much, Anna, for being here. It was such a pleasure. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much.